Hello, and welcome back to the Diogenes Podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Willingham, and together we will chew our way through Wokistan in search of an honest man, or woman, or they, them. I'm just kidding. There's nothing honest about any of that. Well, since the cultural conversation about race continues chugging on full steam ahead, especially after the multiform tragedy of Jason Arday, I thought it would be appropriate to hitch a ride on an old essay from the disasters of woke. This is entitled The New Black. As always, I open with a quote. The crisis of the black intellectual now, if there is one, isn't that he lacks the means or the platform to represent his people, but that it is too easy to cleave to a sense of resentment and indignation. That was Thomas Chatterton Williams from an essay entitled Loaded Dice, published in the London Review of Books in 2015. In August of 2020, it was announced that a remake of John Hughes' film Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was in development, with the roles established by John Candy and Steve Martin to be manned by Kevin Hart and Will Smith. I guess it's a slapstick now. Apparently, the original isn't funny without more melanin. But this is just like the bogus all-girls Ghostbusters remake from several years ago. It seems that all the old stories must be retold and repopulated with people who matter more now. It's a blatantly infantile, gimme it, it's mine, playground bully move, but in the name of social justice. It's also a cynical attempt by conceptually bankrupt Hollywood producers to keep cashing in on old ideas. In addition to being reverse racism or sexism, as the case may be, this is also the soft bigotry of low expectations. Taking over a classic film or any other work of art and feminizing or blackfacing it is like giving Uncle Tom the master's old coat. The casts of these ill-advised makeovers are funny and talented enough in their own rights. Don't they deserve an original story that showcases their unique abilities? Identity swapping sets up a false dichotomy in the minds of viewers. Black versus white, male versus female, Gen X versus Gen Z. Which version do you prefer? Saturday night entertainment has now become a political act, one which implicates the viewer as either a champion of conscience or a failed moral agent. This is how ideology operates. It seeps into the most quotidian aspects of our lives, insisting that we pledge allegiance. And allegiance now is always to the struggle, because in critical social justice theory, everything is about power and oppression, leveraged by identity. Beware the liberation movement that gets what it wants. The cultural edifice will crumble, and orgiastic self-cannibalism will not be far behind. Rebarbative reworkings of cultural artifacts in the images of the new gods of race and gender reveal the empty aimlessness of the woke's grievances. They ruminate on past injustices because they lack the vision and motivation to make progress in the present. Tangled in self-contradiction, they demand open geographical borders, but closed cultural divisions between identity groups. Many rivers to cross, as the song goes, yet the stuff of thought remains non-transferable. Except, of course, when the woke wish to retroactively possess and revise achievements and experiences they feel they were denied, while disallowing whites the right to appreciate or participate in cultural traditions outside their own views. Apparently, open sesame is a one-way street. Black activist Ijeoma Oluo, self-styled expert on misogynoir and author of the Badass Feminist Coloring Book, has made no bones about her discomfort around, quote, white folk in cowboy hats, end quote, while also expressing disdain when whites rap or wear Indian-inspired Halloween costumes. So, big hat, no cattle versus little bighorn. What's a pale face to do, especially after the scalping? One wonders if she uses all the crayons or dutifully restricts herself to shades of brown and black. On appropriation, she opines, quote, we can broadly define the concept of cultural appropriation as the adoption or exploitation of another culture by a more dominant culture. She continues, at its core, Cultural appropriation is about ownership of one's culture, and since culture is defined both collectively and individually, the definition and sentiment about cultural appropriation changes with one's identification and sentiment about aspects of their culture. End quote. In this stalled attempt at explication, Ms. Aluo is clearly getting nowhere fast. Perhaps she should contact Messrs. Hart and Smith for a better mode of transportation, or maybe the Ghostbusters, since she's admittedly afraid that under the cowboy hats lurk men in white sheets. Who are you going to call? What is clear is that this mutable description serves to make the woke untouchable. They define the terms of engagement with their own cultures howsoever they choose and change them whenever they please, and are free to come and go within dominant spaces at whim and at will with preferred pronouns as passports. How convenient. And specious. And hypocritical. Of course, blacks and women and everyone are free to move within the larger cultural space because it is a common space. Dominant does not mean domineering, but shared according to established and evolving reference and standards, which, in the best of all possible worlds, are defined by merit and excellence, not gonads and melanin. Traditions are social experiments that succeeded and provide stable landmarks for effective navigation of cultural spaces. Innovation is possible if, and only if, curiosity and expression allow us to move freely and fearlessly in all directions. Unfortunately, the woke revile history and deny progress as they traffic backwards and forwards in the same sad circle of grievance, flattening everything in their paths. I finished reading George Orwell's Animal Farm to my son recently. The parallels are exact. The animals drive off the cruel master who truly mistreated them. They establish commandments to prevent future abuses and to encourage harmonious labor for a common cause. They successfully fend off outside attacks, which may have been staged, on their new order. An intelligentsia emerges that contributes ideas and plans, but no productive labor. A hidden power struggle among self-appointed thought leaders, the pigs, results in a coup and the exile of a benevolent member of the original cause. Commandments are modified to support the growing power and appetites of the elite, who become increasingly bureaucratic and authoritarian. The elites take up residence in the old master's house. New rules and prohibitions are invented for the workers. Sisyphean labor is deliberately sabotaged by elite alliances with outside interests to keep the workers ignorant, distracted, and exhausted. History is continually rewritten to favor the elite regime. Most of the animals of the original rebellion die of old age, are broken by labor, or are sold off to slaughter. Only a few remember a time before the swine dominated the farm. At last, the pigs walk upright, fraternize with their former oppressors, who praise them for their perfected subordination of the other animals, and they get drunk, cheat at games of chance, and obliterate the old commandments and inscribe their final truth. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Regarding the movies, the symbolism gives it away. Female Ghostbusters. What is a ghost? A ghost is traumatic historical residue contaminating a place in the present, making it unsettling, unsafe, or uninhabitable. Dead white males? Bust 'em! Black planes, trains, and automobiles. Transportation. These folks are going places, moving on up like the theme from the Jeffersons. The plot is also about trying to get home in time for Thanksgiving, highlighting the systemic obstacles to Black gratitude, lest we forget. These are just two more examples of the counter-colonization of the wild white West. Didn't Will Smith star in that one too? My advice for the woke: if you want to get on board the love train, let go of the past, get out of your own way, and stop blocking progress for the rest of us. Remember, if you enjoy the content here on the Diogenes podcast, please like and subscribe and tell your friends to join the pack. Share your thoughts in the comments section, but do so respectfully. We believe in free speech here on the Diogenes podcast, but slurs are not arguments, and trolling is not a meaningful contribution to discourse. Besides, that's my fucking job. I'm Chris. Until next time, thanks for joining me.